Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. I would like to ask, inshallah, our reciter, Ismail, please to read from where it says the sharika, which is partnership. Naam.
Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Tonight on the 10th of Rabee al-Thani in the year 1442, corresponding to the 25th of November in the year 2020, we are in Al-Wajeez, the concise presentation of the fiqh under the chapter of business transactions under the subchapter of partnerships. From an Islamic perspective, a partnership is where two or more persons choose to combine together in order to obtain profit. It can even occur without the intent of a person, such as one inherits such a situation.
Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. This is the word for partnership in Arabic, ash-sharika, partnership, and also can be pronounced as ash-shirka, and also can be pronounced as ash-sharaka, all the three words indicating partnership. And here in the religious terminology, ash-sharika or ash-shirka or ash-sharaka is partnership between two or more in order to divide the profit. And this also can be regarding something that was made upon them to be partners regardless of they had a choice or not. So for example, that these people came partners because of they are brothers or sisters or relatives of the deceased. Somebody died, so they will be partners in the inheritance. Also, for example, that a flood came to a land, the government is going to be giving money to those who had been affected, and so they give the money to everybody to share it. That's partnership without them choosing to be partners. Now, the partners or partnership can be in the following 5 ways. Partnership, which is between two people, two partners or more, without the money. So it's partners. Let's just start with the one which is the easiest one. Partners with the money. So each one pledge money. Okay. And then after the pledging of the money, they will say that the profit, either in according to how much they have paid, or it is according to what they agree upon, regardless of, even if that person had said to another person, for example, I would be like your partner and I will pay as much as you pay, but your percentage of profit is more than mine. Or the other person said, I will get more profit than you, so the profit will be 40%, 60%. Maybe because one of them is famous, so he's a partnership, but because he's got fame, and people, as soon as they see him or they know that he is in this business or is part of it, then they will start coming on to deal with him. So that person, even who is his partner, is paying more and getting less profit, he is benefiting somehow, because he knows if he made his own company, he will not get the same if he's to be a partner to this famous person. So the first partnership is pledging money, partnership in money, but without the involvement of the buddies of the partners. So that's the first one, which is the partnership. Write it down because you don't have it in the book. Partnership that is with the money, each one pledges money, and there is no involvement of the buddies of the two partners or the three, whatever, how many partners. So he said partners of money, but without the buddy. Second partnership is the money is from one person, and from the other person, money plus buddy. So this person, he will also his buddy and money, with somebody only with his money, and that's another partnership as well. As for the profit, is according to what they agree. Okay, so they could say, for example, this person is with his money and buddy, yet he will receive a salary. Okay, or with his money and his buddy, he will receive more profit. or he will not receive moral profit, because, as I said, he could be a partner to a person only with his money, but because he's famous in that business and market people, they know him. Straight away they'll start, so he's actually, he is selling his own reputation rather than his own money only. So his reputation is going into the partnership. So it's according to what they agree, no problem. A third one, which is the partners, that is the money and the body from both. So money and the body. So they put money and also they themselves involved into that company, no problem. Regardless of how many, as we said, partners here doesn't mean just two. It could be two or more. Minimum is two. The fourth type is the money is from one person and the other person only with his body, no money involved. And this is called Mudaarabah, as we're going to see it in the following chapter, inshallah, today. So money from one person and the other person only his body. And it's called Mudaarabah, as we're going to see, inshallah, in the following chapter. So I'll leave that one to explain it, inshallah. The fifth one is buddies. Buddies without the money from themselves, but it could be from money from somebody else, a third party. He's not able. So, but this is buddies only, and this buddies can be only envisaged into one profession. So, for example, that we are two together manufacturing, let's say, cables of wires. We don't have money, but we are very good, skillful. So, in that case, okay, the percentage, okay, will be divided according, because we're two partners, inshallah. Now, it could be only in one, as I said, in one profession, or in two linked profession. What do you mean by linked profession? Because you see, some of the scholars even had made this last partnership, which is not allowed, two bodies, because there will be ghubn. There will be somebody who is not really be justice upon him. And they said, but if it is allowed, the other scholars who said it's allowed, like Imam Malik, it is allowed only if it is in one profession or in a profession which is linked to each other. What is linked to each other? For example, two partners, one who is the tailor and the other one who is the one who cuts the cloth. So they are actually helping one another. So when customer comes, usually he's going to come, he wants to cut the cloth and the other one will tailor it. So they will have some sort of justice and balance in the way of the effort that they are exerting. Okay. Or for example, we would call it body work for the cars. Body is always involving as well paint. So the one who paints in the cars and the bodies, they're together. So that's as well two jobs, two professions, which is linked to each other. But they have to be in the same place. Otherwise, they're not going to be justice. So for example, it cannot be, for example, a tailor in Reading and the one who cuts the cloth is in Aylesbury. No, it has to be in one shop. And in that partnership, okay, then we will see that it doesn't matter which partner will as well will make the deals, because they're partners. So whether they're two together or one with without the other, as long as they have agreed, unless the other one said, oh, no, don't agree on any new deal unless I'm here. That's a condition. But because of this profession with the buddies, so if one of them is to get ill, then the profit still in between them. See, that's why we say the partnerships of the buddies here. So let's say a person who is painting, or a person and he's the one who is fixing the body of the car, person who's tailor and person who's cutting the cloth. Okay. This partnership, we said it has to be in one profession or professions or jobs linked to each other. So if one of them is to get ill, he's still going to get the profit there, because even if he's ill, he has to get the profit, because he's unless one of them works during the time. Please, can you just stop sending messages, because the messages are coming to my screen, co-host, please. Jazakallah khairan. Please. If basically the subhanAllah, I forgot now. If, for example, that they've got like I say, a weekend, and they don't normally work during the weekend. So if one of them is worked in the weekend, okay, if one of them worked in the weekend, then this person is entitled for his profit. He doesn't have to share it with the other person, because they said that this is the time of the work. But this one is going to work during the weekend, then he's entitled for that profit on his own without the sharing with the other partner. Wallahu ta'ala. Let's go ahead with this partnership and its legality in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, وَإِنَّ كَثِيرًا مِنَ الْخُلَطَاءِ لَيَبْغِي بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَقَلِيلٌ مَا هُمْ. Translation of which?
And verily, many partners oppress one another, except those who believe and do righteous good deeds, and they are few.
Right, this is Surah Sad, and we go to Surah An-Nisa, verse number 12. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِنْ كَانَ رَجُلٌ يُورَثُ كَلَالَةً أو امرأة وله أخ أو أخت فلكل واحد منهما السدس فإن كانوا أكثر من ذلك فهم شركاء في الثلث. نعم.
If the man or woman whose inheritance is in question has left neither ascendants nor descendants, but has left a brother or a sister, each one of the two gets a sixth. But if there are more than two, they are partners in a third.
But also from the As-Sa'ib, so we got here. But by the way, the two verses, the first one talks about this is partnership, which is by choice, and the other one talking about partnership, which is not by choice. You became a partner because of the death of somebody, which is an inheritance. Naam.
As-Sa'ib said to the Prophet.
Hamza.
As-Sa'ib said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "You were my partner in the pre-Islamic days of ignorance, and you were the best of partners. You would never oppose me or argue with me."
You never oppose me, that means differ from me or argue with me. Tudarini here, yes, oppose me, differ from me. But this is a narration where this As-Sa'ib, as soon as the regaining of Mecca took place and Prophet ﷺ was there, this As-Sa'ib embraced Islam. He said to him, Messenger of Allah, you were my partner in Jahiliyyah. So the time before Islam, you were my partner. And you were the best of partners. It shows you that the Prophet ﷺ's manners before he received the revelation, that he was as-sadiq al-amin, the truthful and the trustworthy, as-sadiq al-amin. And he said that you would not differ from me, and he will not argue with me. An easygoing partner, that's what you want, an easygoing partner. And it shows as well that the partnership is not against the manhood. It does not basically tarnish the prestige or the manhood of the person. I'm thinking the manhood maybe is not the proper word. It will not, for example, basically downgrade the person, because the Prophet ﷺ was a trader. Okay, so becoming a partner in trade, it does not belittle the person. It does not take him, okay, he's a scholar, he cannot be a sharik or a partner. No, that's not right? Because the Prophet ﷺ, he had practiced such trade and partnership. Another narration, As-Sa'ib, on the day of, as I said, regaining of the Mecca, when he came, they started, the companions, talking about him, As-Sa'ib. So that means how good he was. So the Prophet ﷺ said, I am the most knowledgeable of you about him. So here the Prophet of Allah is making the statement onto As-Sa'ib, not vice versa. So the Prophet said, Ana a'lamukum bih, I am the most knowledgeable regarding him, because he was his partner during Jahiliyyah time. طيب, let's go to now the legal partnership. Naam.
The Islamic partnership. Ash-Shawkani wrote in As-Sayl al-Jarrar,
Al-Jarrar with a shadda on the ra. Naam.
Al-Jarrar. The Islamic partnership comes into existence by the approval of two or more who agree that each will contribute a specific amount of wealth, seeking by it some earnings and profit. Each will receive from the profits according to the percentage that he contributed. By the same proportion, they will also be responsible for the capital of the partnership. It is permissible for the partners to agree that each will receive the same percentage of profit, even though the percentage of contributions differed, even if one contributed a little and the other a lot. Something of that nature is considered acceptable in Islamic law, as trade is based on mutual approval and being free to accept whatever is pleasing to the person.
So this partnership is allowed as long as the profit is percentage wise. So percentage wise, so I'm not allowed, for example, I would say, okay, let's say it's partnership of monies. I give 100,000, you give 100,000 or 50,000, and I will say that my profit, akhi, is 500 pounds a month. That's not allowed, because there is ghubn, because maybe the company will not make enough money to give the 500 pounds. It could be in disaster, lockdown. How can you receive 500 pounds and the company is not making money? Or it could be as well, ghubn against you, that even if you're saying 500 pounds, it could be the company making a lot of money and you're taking less profit. So setting a target money is not allowed, but you set a percentage is no problem. No problem, because there will be because you agreed percentage of the profit, not a particular profit. Okay, or you cannot, for example, make a partnership that between me and you, that money, and I would say that, okay, I will be partnership, but I'm partner only in the profit. Huh? Yeah, that means my money, which is like my capital money, which is guaranteed. That's not allowed as well. Because once you are a partner, you have to be a partner with the profit and in loss as well. So it's not correct to say that you are a partner, that my money is guaranteed and my money is going to be invested with guarantee. That's not correct. That's called putting your money with interest. This is like interest. Take a riba. So when you put the money with the bank, they always give you profit. Okay, the riba, that's riba. So it's not correct. Even though you're taking a lot of riba, which is for monthly, but it's still riba. So when you put in trade, this money is going to be exposed to loss and gain, whether this loss is huge or this gain is huge. So what about if the partners are in partner in body and one with money, which is the Mudaarabah? That's the one we're going to be talking about. That means I gave money, 100,000 pounds to somebody to invest in it. Somehow he did something and he lost it. So I lost my money. How come he didn't lose anything? No, he lost. He lost his effort. As long as he did not fall short in his achievement, meaning fall short that he did not, for example, go against some sets of conditions that you agreed upon, which we're going to see inshallah. Let's talk about the Mudaarabah. طيب. Ya Sheikh, Ikhwani, and this is why every time you need to go into a transaction, you need to make sure that to ask the people of knowledge whether it's halal or it's haram. And it's very few people that do consult people, very few. They consult them already after they have involved in such a transaction. Okay, and so many of them as well, they follow concessions, rukhas, meaning like this scholar, he made this halal, but the other scholar made it haram, so he follows the scholar. Then he goes to another issue. This scholar who made it halal, he makes it haram, so he leaves him to go to another scholar, maybe to the first one who made it haram, maybe he makes this deal is halal. So he's jumping from one to another. When the person as well talks about these things, he needs to submit. So he can't just say that, I have to have a choice. When it's haram, haram. You have to submit. And when you want to ask about your transactions to a student of knowledge or a scholar, you have to put everything on the table. Can't just hide things because you want to take the halal verdict. No, put everything on the table. طيب. So that means don't hide the little tiny things where you know that these little tiny things that might change the fatwa. Al-Mudaarabah, تفضل.
Silent partnership, al-Mudaarabah. Its definition. The word al-Mudaarabah comes from the expression al-darb on the earth, which means traveling for the purpose of business and trading.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, وَآخَرُونَ يَضْرِبُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ يَبْتَغُونَ مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. نعم.
Others traveling, يضربون, through the land seeking of Allah's bounty. It is also called qarad.
No, قِرَاض.
Qirad, which comes from a word implying a portion. This is because the creditor provides a portion of his wealth for anyone to do business with, and he receives a portion of the profits. The exact meaning of it here is a contract between two parties which states that one will give the other one money in order to trade or do business with it, and the profit will be divided between them according to what they agree upon.
Okay, so Mudaarabah is a type of partnership, but this partnership, one gives money and the other one will invest into the money. One with his money and the other one with his body. Okay. When I say with his body, it doesn't have to go from one place to another. He could be using it on laptop. You could just take the money and use it through his laptop. MashaAllah, doing business these days, all of it is just through communication through internet, most of it. So it doesn't mean that you have to go from his chair, and he doesn't have to do anything of that. It's just as long as it's one money and one body. Money could be, the body could be thinkful, thinking, giving ideas what to do with it. All types of partnerships, you could have a partner which is non-Muslims, no problem. As long as you know that person who is non-Muslim, he is not gonna be investing in something which is haram. So if you know somehow that this non-Muslim, if he has the upper hand and if he's got the final saying, he might involve items which are not permissible in Islam, then you're not allowed to be his partner. So you could have a person to invest in your money who is not a Muslim, no problem. But you could set a condition. You could say, for example, as long as you work in halal, not in haram. You can't, for example, invest in buying pork or alcohol or anything like this. Now, so this is a contract between two people. One put the money and the other one invest. Well, one person put the money in, and other people, more than one person, they invest in that money with their body. So basically, here the partners is in the profit. Okay, it is not partners in the capital money. So it's partners in the profit. You have to understand that, because the capital money there's no partners here. There's only one person giving the money. This type of mudarabah, we need to know the following, that in order for it to be halal, okay, you have to know the following. We have to avoid, okay, three things. That number one, we cannot set a specific profit. So we cannot say, for example, the profit, for example, is £100 or £200. So you cannot set a specific profit. Also, you're not allowed not to set the profit percentage. So I cannot, for example, okay, I invest in my money and the profit mine is little, or my profit is going to be a lot. So you didn't set what is the percentage. So it's number one, you cannot have a specific amount. You could say 50% of the profit, 40%, 20%, but you can't say £200. You can't set a figure. You can't set a figure. The other one, you're not allowed as well not to set a percentage of the profit. You just say, inshallah, just accept few profit. No, it's not allowed. You have to make the exact, you have to set the percentage before this partnership starts. In any partnership, I'm just talking about here. And also in the Mudaarabah, you're not allowed to say that my money is guaranteed. I give you £100,000, you invest in it, but as long as my £100,000 is not going to be touched, I only take profit. I don't mind if you didn't give me profit, but you have to give me £100,000 at the end of the day, because I'm giving you money. That's not allowed. Because just like he had lost his body, work, whether it, as I said to you, on the laptop he's been doing and investing and all of that, he lost that time. The time as well costs money. Okay, as long as he did not fall short from fulfilling the conditions. Like we said, for example, I told you, Akhi, not to invest in vegetables, invest in anything else. And he invested in vegetables, then he's liable for all that money that you paid. And also, I'm not allowed in Mudaarabah, that's the fourth thing, which is to specify the job. So I cannot just say to him, this is £100,000, only invest in laptops. It doesn't work like this. The Mudaarabah has to give him, sets of choices. So you could just say that I don't want you to invest in, for example, in metal and wood. Khalas, no problem. You could just invest in lots, but not to specify a particular. I want to invest in just selling shoes. It's not allowed. In this case, you just bring shoe shop and make him a worker and give him a salary. Okay, طيب. So in this partnership, they have consensus. It is not permissible also for the worker or the person who gives the money to set a condition to have specific amount of money along with the profit. Okay, otherwise it becomes hiring. Hiring is different. If I hire a person, yes. If I hire, it's jar. For example, I gave you, okay, I'm building a shop. I'm building a shop, and you hire the shop and do whatever you like. This is called hiring. No problem. You could hire the shop and put whatever you like in it. That's no problem. But it's not called partnership. Hiring is different. Hiring a person as well to work for you. Okay, so you're not allowed with ijma, with consensus, that is whether to the person who is the worker or the person who is the owner of the capital money to set a specific, okay, money, that is £50, £200, along with the profit as well, which is shared. This is being done a lot in our countries. Like for example, a person buys a taxi. Now, the taxis that are there worth a lot of money. Just like here, the black cab, to buy it, I don't know how much is 100 and something plus, maybe more than £100,000. Because you're going to buy not just the car. The car doesn't cost maybe 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 maximum with electric now. But the cab license, that's a lot of money because they are limited. They cannot expand. They are sets of cars. So when you buy that license, it's a lot of money. So in our country, the same thing. Taxis are limited. So when you buy a specific taxis, it costs a lot of money. People can't afford it. So this person who's got the capital, he buys it, and then he gets a driver on it. And then he says that basically, I'm giving you the car. You have to give me, okay, £200. For some, not 200. In our country, maybe £30 a day. £30, proper English money. Some of them even depends upon which city they work in. £30 a day. That's not allowed, akhi. Because he's not a worker. He's becoming like a partner because he's not a worker. £30 a day. Because that person can make maybe 30 or plus. Sometimes he can make less. How can you pay 30? But if you hire the car, yes, hire the car. He hires the car and he takes it because he's paying he's hiring the cars. He's using it not for taxi. He's using it for something else, to shipping to my kids or taking his family with a trip. That's hiring the car. That's different. But to be a partner, because what he says, I've got £30 as a profit. That's not correct. Because he's limiting that, but he's not allowing that person to use the car except for a taxi. He's not going to give it because it's a taxi. You're not going to take your family with a black cab and everybody's going to look at you and you're going to be happy. So the correct thing is, for example, the other one, they said third. So they give 3/3. 1/3 for the worker, the driver, 1/3 for the owner of the car, and the last third is being fed back or given back to the car itself because of the maintenance, because of the they do a lot of mileage. That's why they need servicing and all of that, brake pads, and so the third will be kept for that. No problem. طيب. Please talk about the legality of it.
Its legality. Ibn al-Mundhir wrote in his book Al-Ijma', page 124. The scholars all agree that qirad, a silent partnership by contributing only cash, is permissible. They also all agree that the laborer can give any condition concerning the the distribution of profits that they agree upon, whether it be 1/3, 1/2, or whatever, as long as it is something known and a fixed portion. The companions of the Prophet ﷺ used to practice this type of business arrangement.
Okay, the following hadith story is not a good example of Mudaarabah because we don't see this as Mudaarabah, but it's a good thing to learn what it is. It's a Mudaarabah. It looks like Mudaarabah, but it's not a Mudaarabah, as we will see. Okay, Zayd ibn Aslam from his father. Please read it with the way that like you are involved in the story. Yalla Ismail.
Zayd ibn Aslam narrated that his father said, Abdullah and Ubaidullah, the sons of Umar ibn al-Khattab, took part in an army going out to Iraq.
Okay, so the sons of Umar al-Khattab, the Ubaidullah and Abdullah. Abdullah is from a different mother than Ubaidullah. Umar al-Khattab married more than one woman before. So some of them, they were married before Islam. Abdullah radiallahu an and Hafsa are from one mother. But we have Ubaidullah and Zayd al-Akbar, Zayd al-Asghar, they are from different mother. These two are the sons of Umar al-Khattab. And I've been looking who is the older. It looks like the older is Abdullah. But we know Abdullah is better than Ubaidullah because he's the one who's always mentioned. Okay. Radiallahu anhu wa ardah. And he's the one who wrote a lot of hadith. So about Abdullah and Ubaidullah, they are the sons of Umar al-Khattab. And they went out in the Iraqi army. So that means in the army towards Iraq. So this is the Khalifa, the time of Khalifa. This is the time of the reign of Khilafah of Umar. The sons of the Khalifa, they are participating in the army. Fadl.
On their return, they passed by Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, who was the governor of Basra.
So he was the governor, the mayor of Al-Basra, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. They passed by him. Naam.
He welcomed them and then said, if I were able to do something to benefit the two of you, I would do so. Then he said, certainly I can.
So he's himself saying to them because he doesn't know them that much, but because of their fathers. And the father, Umar al-Khattab, it's not because he's a Khalifa. No, he's because he's a scholar. He is the second after Abu Bakr in the companions. And because he is the teacher of his teacher. Umar al-Khattab is the teacher of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is the teacher of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. And both Abu Musa al-Ash'ari and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud are top in recitation of the Quran. But both are the students of Umar al-Khattab. Al-Khattab is, as I said, the teacher of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Abu Mas'ud is the teacher of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. So here is that when he welcomed them, and he said, if I could just benefit you, get you something, as a gift, as a benefit for you, I would have done so because of their being sons of Umar al-Khattab, not because he's the head of the state, and that is why he's keeping him as the mayor or the governor of Al-Basra. No, because as I said, they are the children of Umar al-Khattab as a companion, second man after Abu Bakr. طيب. Then he said to himself, yes, I could really help you. Go ahead.
Certainly I can. Here is some wealth from the wealth of Allah. I wish to send it to the commander of the faithful, Umar ibn al-Khattab. I will loan it to you and you can buy some merchandise with it from Iraq and then sell it in Medina. Then give the principal to the commander of the faithful and the profits can be for you too. They said, we would like that. So they did that.
Okay. Right. So here, basically, he had some money. Either this money is taken away from because of the zakah, something that has to be sent to the treasurer, which is the treasury, which is in Medina, where Umar al-Khattab is the Khalifa. So because the time of Umar al-Khattab, the Islamic State expanded a lot. So here, this money is being collected by a province, is being sent to the capital, the headquarters. So he said, okay, this is the money. I'm going to give it to you as a loan. So you could use it and also could buy something from Al-Basra, okay, some items, because Basra is far away from Medina. You're talking about thousands of miles. Basra from the Medina, maybe, I don't know, but it's a lot. And that time, traveling from one place to another takes a long time. So, and an effort. So you could take stuff from let's say you bought, let's cheap dates, for example, for Iraq. Then you take it to Medina and you sell it, you make profit. Okay. And then you the capital money, which is the one that he gave you give it to the Khalifa, which is your father, and the profit which he made, you divide it amongst you. Okay. So they said, yes, we love to do that. And they did. And they made a profit now. Go ahead.
He then wrote to Umar ibn al-Khattab to take the principal from them. When they came to Medina, they made a profit and gave the principal to Umar.
Okay.
He said,
so here, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, just to make sure that he's doing his job, he sent to Umar al-Khattab basically that I have sent such and such money, which is what he had taken from Al-Basra, which is to be given to Umar as to be put in the treasury. So he made his job by writing down how much that they should, the two sons of his, to give to him. He made his job. He didn't tell him about what he did as he'd given it to his sons and all of that. No. They will tell him that. So anyway, when they came, they gave the capital, and the profit, they took it. Now, when the profit, they took it, basically, Umar al-Khattab is like he's like he knew. Either he knew because they said that this is the money and this is the profit that we made, because this money was being given to us as a loan and we used it. Now Umar al-Khattab, you could see why he is the ambassador of justice. Subhanallah. You can't find that except in Umar al-Khattab. Umar al-Khattab, when he was stabbed and about to die, he said to choose the Khalifa from the remaining of the 10 giving glad tidings of paradise. He knew that Abdullah ibn Umar is fit. Wallahi, he was fit to be a Khalifa after him. So when he said to the companions, choose out of the 6 which are left from those giving glad tidings of paradise, he excluded his son. Abdullah ibn Umar is one of the great companions. But Umar al-Khattab, he doesn't give any precedence to blood relationship. So look what he's going to be treating his own children. Fadl.
He said, did everyone in the army receive a loan like the loan you received? They said no. Umar ibn al-Khattab then said, 2 sons of the commander of the faithful are here, and I shall give them a loan. Hand over both the principal and the profit.
No. He should give you a loan. 2 sons, again, 2 sons of the...
2 sons of the commander of the faithful are here, and I shall give them a loan.
No. And I shall, it's not correct. فَأَسْلَفَكُمْ. It means, he said, it's like in a way, like So the 2 sons of the, the leader of the believers, which is myself, and that's, so he gave you a loan. That means like, you don't get it, my 2 sons? It's only you, he gave you the loan, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, and he gave it to you because you're all my own 2 sons. And had it been that you're not my 2 sons, he would not give it to you as a loan, because he did not give the rest of the army the same loan, did he? The army came to Iraq and he returned back. So he did not give them the rest. So why he gave you favorism? It's because I'm your father, the Khalifa. Give me the money and the profit. Look at that, Umar Khattab. Give me the money and the profit. No way. No deal. Fadl.
Abdullah remained silent, but Ubaidullah said, this is not necessarily to be, O commander of the faithful. If there were to be any loss to that wealth, or if it were to be destroyed, we would have covered it.
Okay. Abdullah is always quiet, and he's always been quiet with his father, and he respects his father. Ubaidullah is the young guy. He's a bit more sort of daring onto his father. Abdullah, one day when the Prophet ﷺ, he was amongst the companions, and you asked a question. There was Abu Bakr, Umar, and the rest of the companions, and Abdullah is a really young man, very young. Teenager, ghulam, still haven't even reached his puberty. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, verily, and he talked about a tree, a plant, which is in the desert, and that is strong in the earth, and it gives its food. And so, and now he gave the go ahead to everybody to talk what it is. So every person, he said, yeah, such and such tree, and such low tree, and other such, that's in the tree, and that. Nobody hit the target. And the Prophet said, no, I'm talking about the palm tree. This is the example of the believer, the palm tree. After this had finished, Abdullah ibn Umar, he said to his father, Father, I knew already from the beginning when the Prophet asked about it, that it was the palm tree. He said, why didn't you say it? So how can I say it, dear father? Because you were there, Abu Bakr and Umar and all of you. How can I say it when all of these senior people, out of respect? He said, Umar Khattab, he said, I would have loved for you if you had just said it, because he wanted to be proud of his son. I would have loved for you if you said it. That's why Abdullah ibn Umar is always, that's why also in the time of Aisha radiallahu anha, that comes to my mind just now. When Aisha radiallahu anha, she was convinced by Talha ibn Ubaidillah and Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam to come out to the people of Iraq, because they wanted to, when they see her, and then they will be reconciling at the time of the Khilafah of Ali ibn Abi Talib, when the death and the killing of Uthman, the assassination of Uthman took place. So she went out, but that was wrong decision. Even the Prophet ﷺ foretold about her coming out, and she passed by the dogs of Al-Hawab, tribes called Al-Hawab. And he said to his wives, the Prophet of Allah before, which one of you whom the dogs of Al-Hawab is going to be bark against, she should go back. So as soon as she heard the dogs barking, so what these dogs belong to? They said Al-Hawab. She said, I'm going to go back. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, I remember, who's going to, amongst you, who's going to be the dogs of Al-Hawab is going to bark against. So, but Zubair and Talha, both have been convinced the mother of the believer. You come there, and when she went there was a big massacre, battle took place, called the Battle of Al-Jamal. 70,000 companions had died. What? Next to her camel. And the Prophet ﷺ told about this. There will be lots of people killed into that woman who's going to be in that Jamal, which is the camel, the battle of the camel. Anyway, Ali ibn Abi Talib is the one who is the winner, but radiallahu anh, he is the one who had honored Aisha, put on her camel, because she's the mother of the believers, and he sent her back. But she kept weeping and crying for what she has done. And because she was, she thinks that she's she believes that because she's wrong, radiallahu anha, that she had done this, and she kept weeping every time she remembers, until she drenches her, she wets her veil. Okay, and then she said, even don't bury me in the room. There's the room where her father, the Prophet ﷺ, her husband, and Abu Bakr, Ali, Umar Khattab was in her room, and there was a space still for her. She said, don't bury me in that room. Don't bury me in that room. I don't deserve to be buried in that room. Bury me in the Waqi' al-Gharqad. Now what I wanted to quote here, she said to Abdullah ibn Umar, why didn't you tell me off? Because he did not participate in the fitna, he came back. Why didn't you tell me off, Ya Abdullah? He said, I have seen two senior people amongst the companions who are onto you. That is Zubayr and Talha ibn Ubaidillah. I can't say anything. Look how respectful he is. So coming back to our story, he didn't say anything. He says, brother, Ubaidillah, it's not correct. He didn't say, father, it's not correct, leader of the believer, to do this. For verily, if this money is to go down, that means if, let's say, for example, that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari gave them, let's say, for example, 100,000, and they invested in it. So if that money, they lost part of it, he said, we would have what? Guaranteed it. We will not give you, we will not ever say to you, oh, we have made transaction and business with this and we lost the business. We lost even 50,000 of the 100,000. We have to make up for the 100,000. So we had guaranteed the capital money. So what was the answer now of Umar? Fadal?
They both repeated their statements again, with Abdullah remaining silent. Then a man in Umar's gathering.
No. Before that, Umar, he said, after he said, you're not supposed to do that, leader of the believers, because if this money gone down, we would have really compensated for that money. After that, Umar, he said.
It just says they both repeated their statements again.
Okay, khair, inshallah. There's a missing word between them. Umar, he said, give me the profit. So again, he's Ubaidillah, he's pleading. He said, no, I'm not going to listen to you. Pay it. Give me the profit, the money and the profit. Now that's Abdullah is still quiet and Ubaidillah is still arguing, but Umar Khattab, give it. I'm going to take the Prophet as well. Until a man who was sitting around, what did he say? Go ahead.
Then a man in Umar's gathering said, O commander of the faithful, why don't you make it a silent partnership? He replied,
this is the qirad, al-mudarabah, silent partnership. Go ahead.
He replied, Fine, I shall make it a silent partnership. Thus, Umar took the principal and half of the Prophet. Abdullah and Ubaidullah, the two sons of Umar ibn al-Khattab, then kept the remaining half of the Prophet.
Okay. So here, this is why they brought it, because al-mudarabah. But this is al-mudarabah, it is just from the Prophet's angle. It's not from the original capital, because in mudarabah we said we cannot have a guarantee for the capital. Because Ubaidullah, he said, verily, we took this money. If we have to lose it, we will what? Compensate. So this is not mudarabah. It is not. Because as I said, the mudarabah cannot guarantee the money. I can't give you, for example, 100,000, go and make transaction and make business and everything. But as you know, make the profit okay, and as long as I get the 100,000 back. No, we can't say that, because you might lose the 100,000. So we say this is mudarabah just from the sake of that they made the profit, not from the original when it took place. So we call that this is maybe more likely as in arbitration. That's the word for it. It's not mudarabah, it's arbitration. This is arbitration between Umar al-Khattab and his own sons, Abdullah and Ubaidillah. Because you see, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he would not give them the ownership of the money that belongs to the Muslims. He cannot just give it, this is, because it's not his money. It's not Abu Musa al-Ash'ari's money. And he would not just give them the total ownership of that money. And he would say, okay, if you lose it, then we lose the money. No. He will, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he will be a guarantor. So we say that the receiving of the money of the children of Umar, Abdullah and Ubaidillah, it was a doubtful issue. They were not really clear mudarabah here. It's a doubtful issue. And that is why the profit which they made, okay, there was not set before 50% of it. It was supposed to be that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said, just give the money to Umar and take the profit, all of it. But because Umar al-Khattab did not agree, so they made the arbitration. It's called sulh, arbitration, to take, I'll take the money plus 50%. By the way, remember, Umar al-Khattab is arguing with his own sons. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. You can't find anybody who would do such a thing. And when you have arbitration, you have sometimes, some of them, they're not going to be 100% satisfied. Okay, Ubaidillah is arguing for the full profit. Remember that. Now he got how much? Half, because of the arbitration. Okay, if it was mudarabah, then they will be okay according to what they have agreed. But here they have arbitration. When the arbitration takes place, it's always going to have somehow a person who is happier with the verdict rather than the other. It's a sulh because both of you agreed. I'll give you an example to understand what is sometimes the arbitration. Sometimes there will be somebody who is going to be not as good as the other in terms of the verdict. This is where we talk about exactly Zubayr ibn Awam. Zubayr ibn Awam again. Zubayr ibn Awam, he had a dispute with his neighbor from the Ansar. His name is not mentioned. I would not consider about his name. There was canals where the water comes in. The rain comes in, and then the water comes into Medina. The water is very rare at that time. Very precious as well. So they have dispute which one, should have the canal go into his orchard, his garden, his land, and then the other one will take after that. So Zubayr said, no, me first. The other one, he said, Ansari, he said, no, me first. Okay. Said, okay, dispute here. So they went to the Prophet ﷺ. Prophet of Allah, he looked and he judged according to what he looked. He said, okay, you Zubayr, take the canal to you, the water. Then after they finish, make that water to run towards your neighbor of the Ansar. The Ansari didn't like that verdict. He said, أَوَأَنْ كَانَ بِنَ عَمَّتِكَ. It's because he is the son of your maternal aunt. As Zubayr, basically he's the son of Safiya. Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib. Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib is the auntie of the Prophet ﷺ, the sister of his father. So, that's why, Prophet of Allah, you have judged in his favor because he's the son of your maternal aunt. Here, the Prophet of Allah got angry. His face went red, and he said, okay, you Talha, take the water to your land, and after you finish, don't send it to your neighbor. Send it to go to the wall, not to him. Send it to go to the wall. Khalas. So here there's a loser. So the first verdict, still, if he accepted it, still, you mean Al-Ansari would have liked to be the first. But the Prophet will judge, not because he was on his maternal son of his or cousin. No, it's not. Because he thinks that this is the right solution. Whatever, maybe he's higher land or lower land, because he came to him to have the judgment. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the following verse. فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُكَ فِي مَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَجِدُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَرَجًا مِّمَّا قَضَيْتَ وَيُسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ, nay, by your Lord, they will not believe until they make you as a judge between them. And then they will not find any sort of resentment in their hearts to accept your judgment, and they submit completely. طيب. Well, alhamdulillah, so we know this is like a type of arbitration. Sulh. نعم. تفضل. The following title. العامل أمين.
The laborer is a trustee. Silent partnerships are permissible whether they are unconditional or conditional. The laborer is not held responsible for the principle used unless he transgresses customary behavior or contravenes what they had agreed upon. Ibn al-Mundhir stated, the scholars all agree that the owner of the capital may prohibit the laborer for selling on credit. If he does then sell on credit, he is responsible for that money.
So let's say, for example, this, call it starting part of Mudaarabah. I gave you £100,000. You invest in it. And I said to you that, please, when you invest, do not give on credit, loans. So when you, for example, let's say invest into like buying laptops and selling laptops, if you want, it's up to you. But you cannot sell on credit. You have to be what? Cash straight away. Money, no credit. Give an example after that somehow. If you did so, I'm not going to involve. So if there's a profit there, you can't come to me. There's a profit, but the profit is tied up. The profit is with some people. I gave you, akhi, condition, no credit. That's it. So you are going to be liable for that falling short, because you have basically you have breached what we have agreed upon. Fadal.
The companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi, the companion of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hakim ibn Hizam, used to stipulate upon his laborer upon giving him wealth to trade with, do not use my money to purchase any animals. Do not carry it over the seas, and do not stay with it in a flooded valley.
He said to him what? He said what? Do not?
He said, do not use my money to purchase any animals.
Okay.
Do not carry it over the seas, and do not stay with it in a flooded valley. If you do any of those with it, you are liable for my money.
And the last one, do not what?
And do not stay with it in a flooded valley.
Flooded, that's what they didn't do it. Flooded valley, yes. So Hakim ibn Hizam is making Mudaarabah. He's telling to his worker, this is the money, go and trade with it, but you're not allowed to invest in animals. If you invest in animals, you are liable. You're not allowed to carry any goods that you buy through the sea, because you're scared, because the sea maybe is high risk. If you did that through the sea, you are liable. You're not allowed to put, for example, my items, whether it's goods or anything like this, into a flooded valley. That means it's high risk as well. If you do so, then you're liable. No problem. But I cannot make a condition, like Hamid said, which will basically invalidate the origin of the work. So how? For example, I say to him, Akhi, okay, well, you got to invest in, for example, in making laptops, whatever. This is your choice. I say to him that, brother, you cannot, for example, buy from such and such brand, such and such brand, and you left him with one brand. How can I do my work? You have only to work with Apple Macintosh, nothing else. You are actually, this is my work. You allowed me to work in laptop. Don't define me what is I'm going to do in my laptops. I'm going to purchase from anywhere because you're limiting me. There is what we call a tala'ub, playing around with mudarabah. We see this a lot. Our Islamic bank, or so-called Islamic bank in our countries, they make a mudarabah. So this person goes and he asks for money, qarda hasana. They will not give him qarda hasan, which is money 100,000 to 100,000. They say, what do you want to do? Okay, we will give you the money to invest. But their investment is not mudarabah. They are giving all types of conditions which will invalidate the foundation of this mudarabah. They will say to him, okay, that an investment is, for example, in building a house. That's it. Building flats. But that's not mudarabah. The mudarabah, you could say to him that you give him a scope of an unlimited way of investing, but you can't say to invest in this. You could say that I don't want you to invest in flats. Khalas, I have got lots of things to invest in because I know that the flats maybe these days are not bringing money. I don't want you to invest in, for example, selling cheese. You could invest in anything else. But to say I want to invest in cheese, that's not correct because you're limiting him. So first thing, which is the bank, Islamic bank, they define what is the investment is going to be. And that's not correct to say that they have to invest in this one. Number two, which is the one that invalidated completely, they guarantee. They said to you, you are liable for the money. So we give you 100,000, invest in that particular thing, but 100,000 has to return back to us. Subhanallah. 100,000 plus the profit on top of it. But the 100,000 is untouchable. 100,000. And they say as well, any loss is on you. So you lose for example, your effort. But I'm not going to lose nothing. 100,000. Okay? And that is, and they say also that the profit is theirs. You could say that. So what is this person the investor gonna get? The investor is gonna get later on. They will give him, for example, they will build him they will tell him to invest in these flats. And then after the flats, they take their profits and everything. Then after 10 years, okay, this is yours now. Subhanallah. It's like a loan. Right. Al-Mudaarabah is abiding, it is legal contract, but it's not abiding. Meaning, I gave you 100,000 to invest in. Okay. And after you started work to invest in, that one who's got the money, I said, brother, you got the money, you have invested, I want to pull out. Give me my money. If you have already invested, okay, brother, sell whatever you can. I want whatever you can, give me back. I want to pull out. So you take whatever has been, whether it's a profitable, with a loss, you take it back. Or even the worker, I took your money. After a while, I said, brother, I think I lost enough. Okay, that's what is left, and I don't want to go ahead. Akhi, we agreed. I agreed to invest, but it's not abiding me for me to stay all the time with you. I want to leave. Or I made profit. I gave you your money and also profit, but I don't want to go ahead. So it is not abiding on any party of the two. Any person of the two can just pull out, okay, without the acceptance or the approval of the other person. And that's with consensus of all scholars. I think, alhamdulillah, we come to the end of what we have planned to talk about. As-salam, I'll leave that inshallah in 2 weeks' time. Salam, and that is what? Next title.
Advance payment or forward purchase.
Forward purchase. And this is a forward purchase or advance payment is very confusing and similar to selling something that you don't own, which we said is haram. Okay. But advance payment is very good translation of that. If you have any question regarding what we've heard, please go ahead. The next 5 minutes. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh. And our brothers and sisters, if you have a question for Sheikh, just raise your hand now by going to the bottom right-hand corner on the microphone. And if there's a sister who wants to type their question, just send it on the chat to questions admin 1. There's a written question here, Sheikh, from a sister asking if a man can marry a woman and that woman's cousin at the same time, as she has heard that there is a qiyas or analogy that it's like a man marrying.
Can I just ask, please? It is the question that's being passed on. Is it passed on? And I mean, do I see them at the end here? Chat. Can we just close that chat, please? Because when I look at the chat, it's just actually coming to me and I'm reading it. So can you just close that, yeah, Ahmed?
Okay. You'll only be able to send it to the co-host privately now. You won't see that now, Sheikh, inshallah.
Yes, so please. I mean, why didn't you do that from the beginning? I mean, because it's really confusing me. Say that question again, because this thing might distract me. Go ahead.
Okay, Sheikh. A sister is asking if a man is allowed to marry a woman and that woman's cousin at the same time. She has been told that there is qiyas.
Is it allowed? Is that the question for the transaction?
No, Sheikh.
Okay, leave it. Transaction first, please.
We've got some more questions now from the sisters. Oh, go ahead.
Transactions. Don't go to these questions. Ya akhi, ya akhi. Ahmed, ya habibi. Transaction first. We are in transaction. We're not really here in. I'm focused on transaction. Fadl. No transaction. Wait. Harun, Fadl, transaction.
My question's not about transactions.
Fadl. Transaction?
No.
No. Okay. Anybody on transaction? Do you have anything, Ahmed, on transaction?
All the questions are not about transaction, I'm afraid, Sheikh.
We want something to do with the class. Fadl ya Ibn Ahmed, transaction?
Sheikh, I came late to the class, but I wanted to know about transactions to do with drop shipping.
What do you mean drop shipping?
Yani it's online business, and the person does not have the product in hand, but he sells something through the internet. So it would be coming from China to a person, but it wouldn't be, yani the seller will never see it. For example, I will sell a phone case. Okay, someone comes to my website, buys a phone case from my website. The phone case comes from China, and it goes to the person's door, but I set the price for the phone case.
Okay, now this is called Bay'u Salam. I'm just asking now, this phone case, is it designed, is it being given the specification to the letter? And
Yeah,
the customer
exactly
will receive
same.
it exactly as it is?
As the picture and everything in description.
Okay, so, and when something happens to this, does he return it back to you or to the original work?
I never see the product. It would, if something happens, it would be going back to the guy who's selling it. As in Amazon, for example. It was a guy I'm buying it from.
Let's say, for example, you're not making a warranty for yourself. No warranty.
There's no warranty. Nothing.
So basically, you are selling an item which is like belongs to, let's say, brand new. Talking about or used?
It's brand new.
Okay, brand new. So you're selling, but you are like basically
I'm
the
like
customer, huh?
I'm like a customer also, but I buy it in bulk, but I sell it singly to everyone who buys it from my website. So it's like Amazon, but instead of me doing the delivery and whatnot and going to the person that's selling it, I'm buying it from Amazon, for example. But it's like the Chinese version of Amazon, Alibaba.
So you're buying it, and you don't see it yourself.
Yeah.
But it's according to the specific. The most important thing, there is no risk zone. Is there any risk zone there? So let's say, for example, that the item that you sent, it was like, let's say this eyeglasses, but it was not the make that you said. What happened here? Something broken. I received my eyeglasses completely. I received my light is not even flicking. What do I do? What is my here my warranty for that?
I'm not sure about that.
So what do you provide to the customer? What do you provide them? Do you
The product that he sees from my website, I sell it to him. And if the product does not arrive, then I renew it to him.
And if it arrived faulty, what do you do?
I'm guessing he would get a new one, right? He would ask for a new version.
From you or somebody else?
I would reorder it again.
So, but he wants to return it. What does he return it? I want to ask.
I've never had that.
Yeah?
I've never had the issue. But if someone from it's known as drop shipping.
You say, let's say, well, what do you sell? For example, give me an item.
No, it's like say a jumper.
Okay, jumper. You gave me the jumper and there was a big hole in it. What do I do now?
You would return it.
To you?
I would never see the product, so it would never be returned to me. It would be returned to the person who delivered it. He would deliver it to the person abroad.
And who's delivered it? You delivered it. Just make it easy for me. You delivered it to me, isn't it? You are the drop shipping, isn't it?
The thing is, I don't do that. Someone else takes care of the delivery and whatnot.
Who's selling me the item, the jumper?
My website is, but I'm paying a third party to do the delivery.
It doesn't matter the delivery. The delivery man is not the one who's selling the item. You sold me a jumper, and you sent it through DBT, whatever it is, the carrier. Yes, the courier is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when my jumper has got a hole in it,
Mm-hmm.
in your website, if you find it faulty, where does it go to? I want to know what you are the seller, or you are the one who is like a giving power of attorney. You are the middleman. I want to understand. You understand me?
All right. Okay. Sheikh, I'm not in it, but I was thinking of doing it.
Akhi, barakallah fik. You see, that's why I'm asking you questions and I'm able to answer these things. You have to be, as I said to you, I don't know if that's why you came in the middle of the class. I said, brothers, when you want to ask something, you have to give me the hidden information. Those are the things that will give me the full scope to say halal or haram. So that's why you're not answering my questions. Those things that will define for me halal or haram. If you can't just give me these answers, I can't give you the halal or haram. Because I want to know, you're the middleman, you're the seller, you're the owner, you're not the owner. Jazakallah khairan. So when you want to go to this drop shipping, you have to make sure that you study it properly. Now, anybody with a transaction question?
Sheikh, there's a question at Ali from Aylesbury. He's asking, is it permissible for a business partner to take a wage while the business operates at a loss? They will share in the losses, but work as an employee also and take a wage.
And that person, he needs to be in front of me, not sending a question like this, because it's triggering too many answers. Which type of partnership it is this? If I'm a partner within my money and also with my body, and the other person only on his money, let's say, for example, and I said that I'm going to get wages because I'm working, no problem, because I'm with my money and I'm getting a wage. And this wage, okay, is like a worker. Whether this company is making profit or making a loss, I'm a worker. Okay, so I'm working in this company. So if you made let's say, for example, that a condition, if the company is not making money and is not profitable, then your wages will stop, no problem. Okay, so it's all of it based upon everything clarity. Clarity, is everything clear, everything is halal, as long as you agree. But you cannot, as I said, set a specific money from the outcome from the profit. Okay, you cannot set specific. From Ahmad ibn to me, please. I don't know what is that. There's a message here says to me, please. I don't know. So, if that is a wages for him, no problem. Okay, you could take wages even if you're in the loss, because maybe they get making a loss now, and later they're going to make a profit. But this person is putting his body, and he said he's got it, as long as it is actually agreed upon from the beginning, no problem, inshallah. Now.
Barakallahu feekum. Faisal, do you have a question on topic?
No, Sheikh, it's not a financial question.
Okay, Anish, topic?
Somebody was muting me all the time.
No, it's not he's muting you. I know what's happening. It's that you are unmuting and he wants to unmute you. He mutes you.
Okay, mashallah.
So you're playing with him. Okay, that's what it is.
Mashallah. Yes, it is.
I'll tell you what. Let me make everything clear here. Everybody can unmute himself without the help of the co-host. Khalas. You could unmute yourself without the help of the co-host. Naam, fadal.
Naam, Sheikh. Sheikh, you mentioned that when you have...
Hang on a second. Ahmed, can you block these? Let me just take this, because the message is coming to me.
Sheikh, if we block that one, nobody can message anybody then. We have to.
I don't want anybody to message anybody. I have to message you privately on. I can't read messages here because they take my intention.
The issue is we've got it. They can only message co-hosts, and because you're a host, Sheikh, you're the host. They can always message you like this. There's no other option really. I'm afraid.
But this is the recently. I never had this before. Okay, allow participants to rename themselves. Allow to do the entry enable to waiting room lock. Okay, I don't know.
I think anybody who wants to ask the question, just send your question to questionsadmin1. Don't send it to anybody else.
Yes, please. That's what I'm just saying. Please send it to admin1. Don't send it to everybody. Don't send it to everyone, please, because it's coming to me, and I can't concentrate. Fadal ya akhi.
Sorry, Sheikh. Sheikh, you mentioned when you have a partnership with two partners or more with bodies, and you mentioned that if one of them gets sick, he will still get half of the profits. If they agreed, half of the profits. Let's simplify. Well, let's say one of the person has a chronic illness, for example, and he will be more ill rather than the other partner, which will be more healthy. What does that entail in that case, inshallah?
Okay, the partnership in terms of body-wise only bodies, not body and money. Body. Okay, there's no money involved. We said it has to be in one profession or a profession which is linked to another one. If it's in one profession, we said, let's say, for example, both of them, they work in one shop and they both of them are tailors. Not a tailor cutting, not tailors, both of them tailors. Both of them, they are, working in manufacturing lights. So they said the profit is 50-50 or 50-40, 60-40, whatever. So we said that this is because both of them work. Even if one of them is to get ill, that the profit will be shared, unless that the limiting the days, for example, let's say if it's 5 days, if somebody works during the weekend, then it is his own profit, because this is the day of the work. That's the problem. When we make people can mute themselves, people start unmuting themselves and play around, and we can't really now. We're gonna back again to the we can't allow you, brothers. That's the problem, you see. We can't control everybody. So you have to be unmuted now by the co-host. So we say that is, but now you're saying to me is chronically ill. It means long-term illness. Long-term illness, well, if they agreed upon it from the beginning, okay, then they say, for example, that, brother, I am chronically ill. If my chronic illness is gonna, because it's not supposed to be a partnership here, but let's say they agreed in a partnership. They said if it is very chronically ill, I'm going to lose a lot of days. Then after, let's say, 5 days in a month, or 10 days, or 7 days a month, or 40 days in a year, then your profit is yours, because it's not going to be fair on the person who's working all the time. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Now we could just take questions, ya Ahmed, from the sisters, regardless of the field. Tafadhal, ya Ahmed.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykhana. We have a question from I think it's a brother in Aylesbury. Is it allowed to buy and sell shares in share markets, just investing money, but don't have proper knowledge about the products?
Shares into the market is something we're going to be covering maybe later on. The shares, ikhwani, there is long-term or long-range shares and medium. Those are no problem as long as the shares going into halal companies. No problem. So you make an investment into BT. Most of the BT is halal. Yes, there is haram in communication, but most of it is about communication. And that's long term. But the one which is haram is the short, is the one that it's like playing on the computer. So he's buying in 1 second, selling in one, buying second. But it's not even settling to him. That's called gambling. That's definitely, it's called gambling. That's not allowed. Fadlan, I have another one as well from the sisters.
Barakallahu feek. There was a question from a sister asking the permissibility of a man. He marries a woman and her cousin at the same time, and she said that she's heard that there's a qiyas, an analogy, that it's like a man marrying a woman who is a niece and another woman who's her auntie. She's asking, is it permissible to do that?
So forget about why do I need the qiyas? I need the question. Is it permissible for the person to marry his cousin? Is that the question?
Is it permissible for the person to marry two cousins at the same time? Those two women are both cousins.
So both women, both girls are two. For example, I'm marrying a cousin, and I'm marrying another cousin, but she's not her sister.
No, they're both cousins, and you're marrying them both.
Okay, right. Always, what is not allowed is to combine between two people who are, if the other person is to be a man, is not allowed to marry her. That's the principle. Meaning, I'm not allowed to marry a woman and her mother, a woman and her paternal aunt, a woman and her maternal aunt. So if that woman, the second one, she turns to a man, okay, then if she's not allowed to marry to your wife, if he's not allowed to marry your wife, that means I'm haram to marry her with your wife. So if we turn the auntie into a man, is he allowed to marry to your wife? No, because it's going to be the auntie of your wife. If he's a man, if he's a paternal aunt, he's not allowed. If he's a sister, it's not allowed. So remember the principle. I'm not allowed to combine between two women. If one of them is to be a man, for supposedly, she's not allowed permanently to marry your wife. I'm not allowed to combine between the two. So the two cousins, now we apply the principle. Forget about the analogy and all of that. We don't need all of this. I mean, this person, investing in something which is not really. So if the two cousins now, if I turn one of them into a man, can he marry the second one? Yes, he's allowed. So it's allowed to marry between the two cousins, no problem, inshallah. What is the reason behind this is actually because the co-wives always, they have heat between them. I cannot create a heat between a wife and her auntie, a wife and her sister. But I could, no problem. The heat doesn't matter between the two cousins. Two cousins is not really incumbent upon them to basically maintain all the time a good relationship where the mother and the sister and the auntie, they are this direct relationship. So remember the principle, and you'll be inshallah happy with that. Naam.
Jazakallah khair. Giovanni has an on-topic question. Go ahead, please, brother.
Assalamu alaikum. This is just to clarify the drop shipping topic.
Fadal.
So drop shipping, as the brother said, is when you have a website, right? And you get the stock. You don't own the stock. So you use another company to pay for the goods. So when a person wants to get an item, say for example, they want a pen, you buy the pen off the company and the company ships it off to the customer. So you make a profit from that transaction.
It's like you're an agent you are.
Sort of, yeah. So you don't own the stock. So if I have a bunch of pencils, the company owns the stock. I don't own the stock.
And if the pen said something wrong with it, where does it go? Where the customer sends it? To you or to somebody else?
It depends. You can
please, we have to be clear. I have to know. If you don't know, then you don't know. I have to clear. Where does the pencil go? If I sell you a pencil, something faulty, the customer, where does he send it to? It's in your website.
So, yeah. So it depends on you. So if on me, I have to clarify on the website, I would say, okay, I can send it. The customer can send it to me, or they can send it directly back to the company that shipped it. You have to clarify it on the website.
But if you said the company itself, these customers will know the other company, and they will start directly to the company cheaper than having you as a middle party. What do you think?
Yeah, that's obviously, it's a risk, obviously. So most people, obviously, if they don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Are you involved in it, or are you just speaking like this?
Oh, I actually tried to do it with clothing.
Okay. And what
happened?
Dropship
Clothing. So I know how it works. So I was getting my stuff from America, and it took a long time for it to arrive. So, and I had to pay VAT. So it was too expensive. So I just said, unless I'm not going to do it.
Okay. Well, I cannot, brothers, give a verdict regarding something which I haven't got the full information regarding it. But I could give a general answers regarding this. Can I give it a ship? Because when I say ship dropping, I say Abu Suhaib married halal. I can't say like this, because I could see yourself as well. Your information is not really with respect to you in full. So I have to go and sit and read what is ship dropping. I could give general answer. If I'm a person selling something, because this person sees it on website, and I'm saying to that person, when something wrong with it, go to the other company. I'm not the owner now. I am not the owner. So I am a middleman, an agent. And this agent,
you are the middleman.
Yeah. If I'm if I'm an agent, then if I'm an agent, then that my basically I am selling something. I need to make sure that, number one, when I take the money, that the item I'm able to deliver it on a certain time. Okay. I'm able, or the better halal will be way that once I deliver it, you pay me money. That's halal 100%. But if you're going to take it before that item arrives, I have to give him a specific day. This is you're going to arrive it by 1 week or 2 days. You're going to arrive 3 days or 4 days.
That's the issue. We obviously, I wouldn't have control over how long the item will take.
And it's not going to be salam, because you don't know if that company even manufactured. It could have been run off. How can you take the money if somebody you don't know? See what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
That becomes the haram bit in it.
Yeah, it's true. There's the element of risk, because you don't know whether.
Yes, so you take it as a haram. So if you knew 100%, yes, that's what the companion. As we're going to talk about this, when we come to the salam, inshallah, talk and we'll expand upon this, because there's a difference between selling an item which doesn't belong to you, and that's what you're doing, selling an item which doesn't belong to you, or salam, which I know it is. I've got it guaranteed, but I'm going to give you. It's not really now at the moment. I'm going to give it to you in about 2 weeks. But I'm going to give you specifically what is the item. This is the one. The risk is low, no problem, inshallah. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Please, now let's go ahead with the questions in the papers for the sisters. Please, sisters, don't give me questions, brothers. Sisters, ya Ahmed.
Sheikh, I know there's a question from a sister that if a man, he dies and he leaves behind a house, so he owned that house with his wife, and their son lives in it. Is it permissible for the inheritors to delay the division of the estate as they don't want their brother and mother to be homeless? How does this work, they're asking?
If all the inheritors agreed, then no problem. What's wrong? You're saying that all of them agreed?
All of the inheritors agree that they don't want to.
Who are the inheritors when the person dies?
So it says they have 3 sisters.
Yeah.
But their brother lives with them.
Three daughters, you mean?
3 daughters. Sorry, Sheikh. 3 daughters. Their brother lives with the mother and father. They want to know if
the mother and the father. Who died then?
So if the father passes away, they're asking, is it permissible if the 3 sisters agree to divide the inheritance at a later date?
Well, I mean, that question shouldn't be asked. If this is their money, if somebody dies, the money goes to the inheritors. If the inheritor decided to give it to somebody, not to sell it, not to do anything, if everybody agrees, no problem. It's a problem when one of them doesn't agree. But that question, it's obvious. I mean, that person who's asking the question should be clever and ask a question which is better, like this. What about if one of the sisters didn't agree? She wants her share. Then in that case, the people who are in the house, if they're not going to go out of the house and sell it, then they have to agree with the sister, either that they will sell it straight away, or they will say, okay, we want to live in it. So the division of the shares between the inheritors, such and such and such, we are renting the house. The other ones are waiting. So we will give you the portion of that rent to you, as like we are renting the house. It's like renting the house. But if she insisted, I want my money, then they have to evaluate how much is the house and give her her portion, that one person who doesn't want to. طيب, let's go to the Harun. نعم يا هارون.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
I have a hadith here. Ahmed transmitted it. If you could please explain it, inshallah. So the hadith is that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah created Adam when he created him and struck his right shoulder and brought forth his offspring white like small ants.
So what is the question?
If you could please explain this hadith.
It's a long hadith this is talking about. The long hadith.
Yes, just a few lines.
I mean, I can't, this is the lecture, akhi. I mean, this is not a question. The question should be, it's a long hadith. This is the hadith of the ru'ya of the Prophet and the vision of the Prophet of Allah.
Yeah, because some people are bringing shubuhat regarding it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, this is a long hadith, ya akhi. It needs a lecture. I've got a question. I've got 2 minutes left. So
Okay.
you ask me, what is that you're talking about? Then I will tell you, this is our ru'ya. This is the vision of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hadith al-kaffarat. Naam.
Because some people are saying that it contains racism, and I just want, if you could please clarify.
Where is the
now.
racism, please bit in it?
It's just that when Allah struck Adam's right shoulder, the offspring was white, and Allah said to the party on the right to paradise. And when he struck his left shoulder, the offspring was black, and he said to the hellfire.
Black here means not just black, dark. It's the racist hadith. Okay, the hadith, see the darkness, the dark is not, dark means different. Al-aswad means in color wise black, but dark. You could be white, but you're dark as well. So here, when you burn in the fire, what are you going to be, white or black? So you're going to be, the fire is racist. Okay, so basically any person who's got darkness into his face, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swaddat wujuhum, swaddat means being dark, but it could be in translation being black. Even he's white and blonde, but his face being dark, you could see the person who's non-believer, subhanallah, there's darkness. And you find some glowing, they call it whiteness, on a person who's black in color. Because of his Islam and his deen, he becomes like, mashallah, glowing light. You want to call it white. So here, that's what it means. Maybe the mistranslation of the Arabic language, that's what it is. Wallahu a'lam. طيب, let's go to Ikhwani. Can I just leave the question now? It's 9 o'clock. And it's a lot of questions you're going to have here. We could post them, inshallah, to the following lectures. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. بارك الله فيكم.